What's going on? My name is Adonis Lockett. Welcome to 360 TV. As always, I got my trusty host, Mr. Even when I wear sweats, I'm still flyer than you, Darion Coleman.
Wait, what's up, everybody? He called me a coast today.
Wait, did I?
Your trusty coast.
My trusty co-host, Mr. Swag, still flyer than you, Darion Coleman. Tonight, our guest, a team of builders, Mr. Mike Munson, Lonnie.
There we go.
Lonnie Murray. Listen, the drink is setting in. But no, in all seriousness, these guys have been in the game for 20 plus years each, over 50 years experience, and they've been everything from builders, insurance, mortgage. When I say true integrated into the business on how to get into real estate investing, these guys wrote the book. Welcome to 360 TV, and we're jumping right in. All right, so first of all, gentlemen, thank y'all for joining us tonight. Always a pleasure. But I feel like my introduction did no justice. So what I want to do, I want you two to tell us just a little bit about you as a partnership, and then you individually. Because from what I've read about your bio, you guys have been in the game 20 plus years. You've been in a lot of aspects of the business that a lot of people don't even consider. So let's jump right in. Lonnie, tell us about you, your background. We're going to talk about you. Mike, we're going to get into you, and then we're going to talk about your partnership. So give us the juice.
I started out in real estate at age 19. Started out as a real estate agent, eventually moved into mortgage lending, and then from there started doing mortgage investing. I've known Mike since high school. When he went off to college, I started doing real estate, opened up a real estate company. And, Mike would come home and come by the office, and we'd sit and talk business. He was in college, and I'm out in the workforce starting, my real estate career. And we always talked about doing something together.
Okay.
And, here we are years later, knee deep in doing business together.
Okay. And so give us your backstory. Like, so he started out, it sounds like right out of high school, you went to real estate. Mm-hmm. And so you went to college. Tell us about you in college coming back into the real estate game.
Yeah, man. So I played football at DeSoto High School, which is, the area of the athletes at this point. I mean, we have over, 300 kids just in football alone in Power 5 conferences. So we were the start of that. When we started out in DeSoto, it was a little bit different because he's actually from West Dallas, which is a predominantly black area. I'm from Abilene, Texas. Okay. A small town which still had railroad tracks, the white side and the black side of town. Okay. But my mother's always ran a business in Dallas. And so I lived with my grandmother because I just didn't want to move to Dallas. But when high school came, had to go ahead and move, and that's when I met Lonnie. Played football, but it was a well-rounded school. Like I said, when we were at DeSoto, it was 98% white.
Okay.
Now it's 98% black.
So
it's totally flipped because it became known as a powerhouse for sending kids to college. Baseball, football, track and field. I think, and even academics, because I think Rock Nation just hired Robert Rooks, which he played football with us. So, and I think he's running the fund that they started for Meek Mill to get him out of prison. Robert's running that now. So, I mean, it's a little storied area. And then, of course, what most people would know is Dallas Carter is right across the freeway.
Right.
And then on this side of us is Duncanville. On this side of us is Lancaster. And so it's a football mecca. But I would always just pull up to his office when I got home or had time to come home from school and be like, man, we should do something. I ain't have $1. You know what I'm saying? I was a struggling college student. And he had told me in high school, he was just like, man, college ain't for me, man. I don't want to go to college. And he said, matter of fact, school ain't for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to graduate early, and I see y'all when we walk. And we was like, yeah, whatever. And we looked up, and he just never came back to school. And then we was like, well, we don't know if he quit or whatever. And then when we all got in there in the caps and gowns, because our names, Munson and Murray, are right the same, he pulled up right behind me, put his cap and gown on, and was like, let's walk, you know.
Right.
So, you know, that was it, man. We just always had a kindred spirit, you know, and a horrible sense of humor that we both laugh at the wrong stuff all the time. So we was like, man, we should just work. We should work. And over time, we just figured out what we were going to do.
Got it. So is your background, so he started out in the game in real estate.
Right.
Is your background real estate?
No, my background, I have a degree in social science, I have a degree in mass communication, and I have a degree in journalism. I have a degree in African American studies. I have a master's in endocrinology.
Inquiring minds would like to know. How did you get all these 4 degrees?
Because so I played football in the Big 12, and when you go to play in a Power 5 conference, they don't let you come home. The only way that you could get a stipend is if you're in school.
Doing something.
So I went to school year round.
Okay.
And including like 2-week in-services where you could still get 3 credits for a class. So I would be up there in the summertime and they'd be like, oh, we got a 2-week class. You could get 4 credits for it. It's botany. So and I was like, all right, cool. I'll take botany. Yeah. Right. We got a class you could take nuclear engineering and you could get 4 credits with a lab. So my hustle was, how can I get to the degree the quickest? So here are all, and DeSoto set us up for, you know, a great academic future because everybody had A's, B's, C's, and D's. We had A's, B's, and C's, and then F's. So if you couldn't
you either average or you fail. Like, there's no below average here.
If you couldn't make a C, you fail. So I didn't, when I got to college and I saw D's, I was like, what is this? But I didn't get it at first. So upon me going to school year round, the only time that I could come home was after the bowl game. And we went to a bowl every year that I was in college, so for the 5 years or whatever. So when I would come home, it would be 2 weeks in January. So I would miss Christmas. My birthday is my birthday is Thanksgiving Day, so I miss birthdays because we were playing football. And then as soon as you get back after January, we start spring ball. So then you're playing again. Then we start summer workouts, so you're playing again. So I just kept going to school. I'm not telling you I made straight A's. I'm just telling you that
C's get
I
degrees,
was passing.
so.
I was just passing classes. And so you do your core classes, and then they tell you only need 25 credits to get this degree in African American Studies, and you've already taken 12. And then I'm like, all right, I'll take that. You only need this many credits. So I had a really great counselor that hated football. And so so he was just like, I don't want you to leave here with your body broken up and with nothing else. And you're one of the only, because we had our own football counselors. So they would tell us what classes to go into, and it would be just to keep us eligible. Like I remember almost getting a degree in gerontology. Which
I mean, at this point, you should have.
I'm sorry. Let's keep. What does that mean?
It's the study of old people. That's just point blank. The study of old. And I remember sitting in these classes, and it's like how to be a caregiver for someone with Alzheimer's, how to be a caregiver with someone on dialysis. And I was taking these classes, and that's what made me go to my on-campus advisor, because I was like, why? Because I remember getting into it with my sports advisor, and I was like, why am I taking this? And he was like, well, why not? He would just never answer the question. And I don't want everybody to think, oh yeah, that's how they do black athletes. This was a black dude. He was putting me in this stuff. And I was like, yo man, I'm just sitting in here with a bunch of old people.
So they were coaster classes.
They were classes to keep us eligible. There are people to this day that have had storied NFL careers that don't have degrees because they don't have any course of study. They just have a bunch of credits and a bunch of different, dynamics.
So I feel like we're about to get into
wisdom,
a whole nother nugget, a group of nuggets and wisdom. So I feel like this is the perfect time to segue into our Whiskey Wisdom moment with Lauren.
Hey there, it's Lauren here with this week's Whiskey Wisdom. This week I am drinking my famous rum punch. Basically I just mix a few rums together, throw in a little bubbly, throw in a little juice, rum punch. All right. It's very tasty. It's nice, fun party in a glass. All right, and so for this week's Whiskey Wisdom, my tip is going to be, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if it needs to be fixed, get it repaired. Oftentimes with residential purchases, they include a home warranty. There's a reason why. You want to make sure that you're minimizing your out-of-pocket costs for any possible large expenses that may happen. Oftentimes, investors will purchase homes as is and they don't buy a home warranty. So when that HVAC system doesn't work, when there is a plumbing problem, when whatever happens, you're paying full price for it. Get a home warranty. It can save you a little bit of money. You can also use it if you turn your property into a rental. That helps manage your maintenance costs. Lots of good advantages to getting a home warranty. Obviously, you want to make sure it applies to your scenario. You don't need to pay for a home warranty package with appliances if you put brand new appliances in it. Likely they're still under their manufacturer warranty, so you don't need to do anything. But always make sure your major systems are covered. HVAC, electrical, plumbing, all of those are big expenses. You want to make sure you minimize your costs and play it smart. This is all a money game, and this is one way to take advantage of it's not a loophole, but something most investors don't do. All right, back to you guys in the studio.
And as always, Miss Lauren just dropping nuggets and beautiful as ever. So with that said, so her feedback, her whiskey wisdom was home warranty. So you guys are builders.
Absolutely.
Do y'all include warranties with any of your build projects?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. Tell me what that means.
Well, when we're building, these homes are built by individuals. So there are things that may not always be perfect, which we always strive to put out a great product.
Okay.
But there are things that may happen. That's just life. So to be able to have that insurance that it protects the homeowner for when something happens and to have a home warranty company that backs it, again, insurance is something that is not important until you need it,
Is a home warranty insurance?
It is to me, it is a form of insurance, because if something happens, you have someone there to help you cover the cost of it.
Okay. So when you're selling your houses, you include some home warranty package with the sale of your house.
Absolutely.
So does that let you off the hook as a builder for certain things?
For certain things, they're going to cover. However, the home warranty is not going to cover everything.
Right.
But a lot of the components of the house, the home warranty does cover, which alleviates, lessens the burden on me for some of the smaller things.
Okay. For example.
Whereas the plumbing, the maybe say the dishwasher, the garage door opener, some of the pool equipment, and you have home warranties that'll cover the home buyer's contents as far as refrigerator, washer and dryer, things like that. You got a toilet that's continuing to run. Whereas it may take me a little longer to get my plumber over there, the home warranty company gets someone out there right away.
Got it. And so one hack that I do want to throw out there to all investors: if you're buying an investment property, rental, flip, whatever it is, spend the money to get a home warranty, because a service call could save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars in work that you are not responsible for. So a great tip about home warranty is that when you understand truly what a home warranty covers, you can actually leverage that to save thousands of dollars on each project. And for example, even as a builder, you guys offering home warranties saves you the trouble of having to send people back out there, which you're responsible for the cost, and that'd be as simple as a $75 or $100 service fee.
Right.
So to every investor, rental properties, flip properties, understand the concept of a home warranty. Get you a home warranty for every one of your investment properties. I promise you it'll save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, awesome. So again, jumping right back into it. So Mike, Lonnie, you guys have phenomenal backgrounds, but also very, very different backgrounds. So y'all are partners.
Yes.
Y'all are builders.
Yes.
the partnership. So I understand that y'all, you mentioned that y'all circled back, y'all said, hey, we should do some things together. How did that turn into a full-fledged partnership where you're not just partners as flippers, you're partners as builders? There's a whole different risk factor that comes into that. How did that dynamic come about?
I mean, so the first thing he ever sold me was my house.
Okay.
So he
as
sold,
an agent?
yes, as an agent.
So as a licensed agent, you sold him his house.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So when I was maybe, my first year out of college, so I think we were probably 23.
Okay.
So I know because I worked, I didn't really get a job at first, but I wasn't playing football anymore. So I guess we were about 24, 25-ish. I bought my first home in North Oak Cliff in Kessler Park.
Okay.
But I was living downtown.
Oh, he's fancy. He said,
well,
he said Norfolk Cliff, Kessler Park. Those
Yes,
are,
sir. He said it's
well,
a different.
you know, you got to stun on them a little bit.
Stun on them a little bit.
People know.
You know, just so they know. But it wasn't that when I bought, because if I'm being 100% transparent, I bought my first house there for $130,000.
in Kessler Park.
Kessler Park. It was considered the hood.
gosh.
Right.
It was
Kessler Park is like an $800,000, $900,000 neighborhood
Easy.
now.
Easy.
Oh my God.
But he saw the vision.
Tell me you still got the house.
No. So we're on our third property in Kessler, but we love North Oak Cliff, so we haven't moved out.
Okay.
So I knew he was a realtor, so I was like, sell me this house. And he kept telling me, he was like, man, you could get the vaulted ceilings, because we grew up in DeSoto, so we grew up in a new build kind of community.
Right.
And so when he was looking at the house, he was like, I'll sell you a teepee if you want me to. But this ain't, I don't know what you talking about. And so I was like, nah, man. I said, it's something that I've picked up in my real estate, like being in corporate America, because my first job was at IBM. And so I would listen to the young, hip, waspy kids coming out whose parents were giving them their down payments to buy houses.
Right.
And they were buying houses in these communities. And these communities were strong with those kids and the LGBTQ community. And they taught me how to flip a neighborhood. Right. So he didn't get the vision because of where we grew up.
Right.
And he was like, no, I'm gonna buy land. I'm gonna buy land out in Palmer, Frisco. You should buy the lot next to me. And I was like, I'm from Abilene, Texas. I don't want no more dirt. I'm living in the city with the cool kids. Right. And so that was our first introduction into it. And then he was already into construction and flipping.
Right. And
so I was like, say, man, I think I want to get married and I need an extra source of income. This IBM thing is cool, but they keep trying to make me a manager. And I was in sales, and I was like, if they make me a manager, that's going to limit my income.
Right.
And because now I'm managing people, and I only get paid off of what they sell.
Right.
So I was like, I need an extra income. He was like, man, you ought to come to South Dallas with me and do these flips. I'm flipping houses. I'll be your realtor. This is setup. I'll be your realtor. I'll do your construction. I'll handle everything. And then what we'll do is we'll get this house for $10,000. We'll put about 30 into it, and we'll get it appraised for whatever we could get it appraised for, and then we'll take the equity out.
Right. So at those prices, y'all were doing business in the 80s. Because
this was
2000, 30.
This was 2005-ish.
Wow.
In fairness, like 10,000. Fair enough.
The numbers he's talking about were real. I mean, the way he explains it, it's like an indictment. But no, these numbers were real. I mean, we were buying houses in South Dallas for $10,000 to $20,000.
That is crazy.
And that's just where the market was, and that was in the early 2000s.
Wow.
Right.
So is he how you got into flipping?
So he's how you got into the game.
Wow.
Because I was the suit guy. Like, because after I worked for IBM for 5 years, then I went to work. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep. So I was suit and tie every day. So, and then I would flip to my properties, and he'd be in there dirty and stuff, and throwing.
You see the shade?
He would literally be like,
he'd be dirty. Me.
He'd literally be like, "Oh, you on the way?" And I think he'd go out in the yard and roll around and make it look like he.
Or did you go into the closet and be like, "Listen, I gotta come in here clean," you know what I'm saying? Let him know.
Let him know.
But that was the hustle. So we used to own whole city blocks.
All right, let me pause real quick. And I don't mean to throw shade on this, but if he was in the trenches with the real estate, what was the benefit in bringing in a suit if you were the guy driving the whole operation?
I mean, we bring different things to the table.
Right.
And because I've known him, you know what I mean? There's enough wealth out here for everybody, you know? And,
Yes.
you know, this is my guy. You know, this is my guy. So to share it with somebody that, you know, we have the same vision. I mean, you know, I know him, I know his family, I know his background.
Right.
So, you know, we can all win.
So let me ask you this. So we know how he got into flipping, but how did you get into flipping real estate?
Actually, funny story. So here's the thing. I worked for a guy. When I got into real estate, I was 18 years old looking for my first house.
I thought you said 19.
See,
bought it at
caught him
19.
slipping.
I bought it at 19.
Good catch, Steve. Good catch.
So I started looking for my house, and I bought a house from a guy that worked out in North Dallas. And from our first conversation, he offered me a job at 18 to work for his real estate company. So I started working for his real estate company, putting deals together, and our deal went sour.
Were you in the office or were you in like the rehabbing part of it?
No, this was office. I was working as a real estate agent.
Got it. Okay.
So he offered me a partnership to go out and let's start buying houses together. Let's start flipping houses. Okay. So I learned how to flip houses. Okay. And I actually bought a house out in Allen for $81,000. Okay.
Allen.
Okay. Allen, Texas, for $81,000
neighborhood now.
And put it under contract, and we're going to do a simultaneous closing.
Right.
Okay?
Double close.
I put it under contract with someone else for $115. And
real quick, explain to us what a simultaneous close is. Explain to
what a simultaneous close is when you put a property under contract, which gives you actually more control over the property than the homeowner. Okay. Because you have equitable title on the property. Okay. And then I procured another buyer.
Okay.
And sold it to them for $115 or whatever the number.
So you got the property for
$81,000.
And then you found someone that said, "Hey, I got an investment property for
$115."
And that means that when you went to closing, you would close the front side and then immediately sell it to the back end buyer, and you made
$34,000. Simultaneous close.
Simultaneous close. So
and actually no money out of pocket because I had.
I was about to say, how much of your own money was that?
I actually was I was in the positive 500 because I had a $500 earnest money, and I requested a $1,000 earnest.
I deposited a $500 earnest, and then for my back end buyer, I made him give me $1,000. So day one, I'm $500 in the black. And then when we go, so it's not even like I'm out of money. I'm out of pocket of this. I'm $500 in the black going into closing. And when we close, I make $30,500
on top of that.
On top of the $500.
Sounds like a win to me.
And that's called a
simultaneous close.
Simultaneous close or a double close.
Right.
Okay. Double close. All right. That's your first deal?
That was my first deal. That was the
first. You walked in there. He came in the game like,
hello. Wrong my whole life. All right.
So that's how I got started in real estate. That's how I got started in flipping. And actually on that deal, the guy I worked for, it was in his name. So as I'm going out doing these deals, I had it under contract. I had the buyer for it, and we talked about the terms of our deal, of our partnership. And they weren't the most favorable terms for me. Okay. So I decided, hey, this is not something that I want to do. And I was young, I was naive, and so the deal went ahead and closed. And when it closed, he paid me. He gave me a check for $300.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
So let's retract the celebration.
Yeah, right.
So the $30,000 that we thought you made, you made how much?
$300.
$300.
Well, he gave me a check for $300.
Listen, bro. Listen, I'm doing you a favor. This $300. Listen, you coming up right now.
Right.
Yeah. How did that?
How did that shake down? Like, because you obviously knew the numbers.
I knew the numbers.
And then he convinced you that giving you $300 was fair?
Right.
How?
Well, he tried to convince me that it was fair, and it didn't go well. What's the statute of limitation?
I like to keep it real on the show. I literally, as you said that, I sat here and I said, I wonder how long he was in jail.
Well, no, back then they had pretrial release, so you can get out. But in all seriousness, he gave that check to me, and I'm 19 years old, and I looked at the check, and I slid it back across the desk, and I said, "You keep it, you keep it."
And come outside.
And what I realized was,
come on.
Like my hands need to talk to you at this point.
Come on.
All right.
I walked outside. I walked out of his office, and my mindset from that point was, I gotta go.
Okay.
And 2 weeks later, I was gone. Now, there was money I left on the table on that deal, but I had the knowledge.
Yeah,
right.
Within 2 weeks,
you left.
I was gone.
No, but in fairness though,
And within 30 days, I was doing the same deal myself.
Wow.
So but you are a testament to knowing your worth, understanding your value, right? Because at 19, it's easy to be like, you know what? I'm learning. This is part of my learning trials and tribulations.
Right.
And to a point, you gotta cut that off to be like, nah, my value is not being really appreciated.
Right.
And it sounds like that's what it was like. My value is better than $300,
Absolutely.
especially in a $30,000 transaction.
I love that so much, and so many people need to realize that. Know your value.
Absolutely.
So to our viewers at home that are watching right now, please hashtag know your value. Shout out to Frida Chambers that's watching. She knows her value. She's a hard worker. I know her. Shout out to Frida. Know your value. I love that. I really do.
So you kicked rocks at 19. That's slang for he left. So he left.
Yeah.
And then, so you hit up Mike X number of years later. So now, by the time you circle up with Mike, you're a couple years into the game.
I'm 2 or 3 years into the game.
So now 2 or 3 years in real estate is like 5 years, 10 years in like life experience because your lessons in real estate are expensive.
Very expensive.
And you learn very quickly.
They're about
So by the time you hit up Mike, is it safe to say you weren't going through a heavy learning curve? You pretty much had a solid understanding of the game.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So when you brought Mike in, your proposition to Mike was what?
Here's an opportunity for us to buy some properties in an area that we're familiar with.
Okay.
We know where the market is. We know where it's going. At the time, we saw that's what they were considering bringing the Cowboy Stadium,
Texas Stadium.
to
All right.
the Fair Park.
Okay.
So to acquire property in that area and just to rehab property and provide better housing in that low income area, because we both came from a low income area where we were brought up from.
Right.
And he said, for every deal you make, I give you $300.
Listen, bro, listen. There's $300.
I give you $300.
So
That's how you gonna learn.
So, Mike, what was the draw when he said, Mike, you're 4 degrees in the game now? Granted, a lot of basket weaving degrees and all of this stuff, but you're 4 degrees in the game. I'm gonna bring you to real estate. It was a little shade on it. So what did he say that you were like, you know what, after I clock out for my 9 to 5, I'm gonna come rock with you? What did he say to draw you in?
Well, because so here's the thing. So when we grew up in DeSoto, there was no white flight. We were just the dots, so we were the kids whose parents said, I think his parents had worked for the post office. My mother had worked for the IRS. So the way that worked was you get those good jobs where you could get that gold watch. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so my mother was literally like 3 jobs to keep me in DeSoto because of the school district, because our valedictorian and salutatorian are, if I said that right, automatically got into Ivy League schools.
Wow.
They didn't even have to apply. I think our valedictorian, my check went to MIT, and our salutatorian went to Harvard.
Okay.
Wow.
And so you wanted to push your kids in there. So my mother didn't know I could play football. She didn't know anything because I never played Little League football. I played basketball and tennis and golf because I was always in like magnet school programs. Like she was good at pushing me into education things. And his mom and dad, it was the same way. They were like, everybody was hustling to keep us in this community. So when I came back from school, he had a crib with a pool. I grew up in a duplex.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He was
we are
living-
not the same.
Yeah, like at 19, he had a house better than our parents.
That's crazy.
So I already knew I wanted to rock with him just based upon the success I kept seeing him have every time I would come home. Because I wasn't at school like, come visit me at school, come to the game. He was my guy that nobody knew was my guy.
Right.
Because then I had all the football guys that, you know, we knew each other and all that, where he wasn't necessarily in the same circle. But I just kept seeing the success. So when he was like, I got something we could do together, I was like, I'm in.
Without question.
I'm in because I had already seen the vision just from being his boy coming, sitting out by his pool, and he had the spread, and he had the Z Gallery furniture. That was popping.
Oh,
back
gee,
then.
I'm about to say, it's real popping today.
He had the leopard
Right.
joints and the
He's
zebra
the Scarface
rug.
of the time. Listen, you roll in with the leopard print.
He
Listen,
walked
bro.
in with one
world is
button,
yours.
one button on his
With a
shirt.
cigar?
Yeah,
Hello,
you know,
Mike.
swirl with the
little
cognac. Yeah.
All right.
So I was like,
So
no, we
then,
good.
all right. So then, is a partnership? So you know the partnerships. A lot of partnerships start and then dissolve, right?
Right.
So now for me, I'm a hard money lender, right? I see a lot of deals come in where it's I gotta buy my partner out. Hey, with this business or this dynamic no longer works. How long have you guys been partners?
So we weren't necessarily straight up and down partners. Like we had our LLCs together. We had separate LLCs
Okay.
so that for tax purposes we didn't have to file together because he did totally different. He did all my work and he helped me find the houses. So we had to split our businesses up.
Right.
It was just smarter to do that because then I would have been taking on his liability, which was
Right.
exponentially larger than mine because I didn't do any of the work.
Right.
I didn't buy any of the materials.
Right.
So but I wouldn't have gotten his tax breaks either because everything was bought under his company.
Got it.
So we
Okay.
had to split our businesses. So we were partners in.
Like on paper as like liability partners,
Right.
not like one organization,
Right,
because
right.
it would have been created too much mess.
Right.
So then it sounds like, would you agree that for partners, it makes more sense to separate? You create an LLC, you create an LLC, and then y'all be like an LLP. That's a limited liability partnership where your liabilities are yours, his liabilities are his, but you're still a partnership. Is that a way you would want suggest that people structure this, especially if you guys are not like both full time, or there's different wavelengths that you're operating on? Is that a safe assessment?
I think so because with him helping me set up my business, and I was still in corporate America, I was getting a W-2.
Right.
And I was getting 1099.
Right.
So it just helped me better for tax purposes not to be in his business
Got it.
because he was 100%,
1099.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
So how long have y'all been partners?
We started in South Dallas in, I'm gonna say, 06, 07.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
13, 14 years, something like that.
Wow.
But
So-
but started buying. He was my realtor before that,
Right.
and then we started doing it together about that time.
Are you still an active realtor?
No.
Okay. You got out of that and you're strictly into the investment side.
Investing in construction. Yes.
I'm sure over 13, 14 years, you guys have had tiffs, like rifts that is like, maybe I don't know if I can do this anymore. Tell me about a time where, because you guys were friends before you were business partners. And I hear a lot of people say, don't miss business with pleasure. Do you agree with that statement?
I don't agree with it.
Why?
I think that every individual is different.
Okay.
His personality and my personality are different in so many ways, and at the same time, we have so many similarities.
Right.
Okay. And then our humor is horrible. It's horrible.
He alluded to that,
So we can laugh and joke about some of the craziest things. He can say some things to me that from anybody else would be fighting words, but because I know him and I know our history, it rolls off the shoulder. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And we work together. We don't take anything personal.
Okay.
Because we understand what the ultimate goal is.
Right.
A lot of people make mistakes in business when they start counting what the next man's making or just focusing on things that are not conducive to a productive relationship.
Okay.
There's a goal here. And our goals here is to provide generational wealth for our family.
Okay.
And how do we do that? We do that by what we go out and do. Well, some of the mistakes that are made is when you get caught up on the small things that are just not really productive to making that happen.
Okay.
So we don't take it personal. And 90% of the stuff, we're able to laugh and joke about it.
Okay.
From the small stuff to some of the most hardest problems we deal with. You know, it is what it is, and you know, while we can focus on it and try to figure out a plan, you know, or focus on it and get stuck on it, let's figure out a plan because it is what it is.
And
let's
we had some rules. If we had some issues of beef, you know, the phone calls, like we said, we got horrible sense of humor, but sometimes we not joking. So the phone call might be like, "Hey, you got your gun in the car?" And he'd be like, "Nah, why?" I'll be like, "All right, me neither. We need to talk." So you know, and then that might end up with us somebody trying to hit each other with the car when we were leaving. But it was just never personal. And we did, man. We in our partnerships, we've had times where we didn't talk for a couple of years.
Wow. Years?
A couple of years, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Years.
Because we like I said, we owned whole city blocks. So if you would go to Linway, like we owned everything on the street.
Right.
And so we were just buying up South Dallas. Well, when Cowboy Stadium didn't come and then the market crashed,
Right.
you know, we lost big and we were holding. Well, then the government started prosecuting people for letting houses go. So we had to hold. So now all of our other businesses were paying for these rental properties
That weren't
productive. Yeah, they weren't producing. And as you know, in the rental game, people want the newest. So you have, you know, we have a demographic we wanted to rent to. We wanted to rent to single mothers.
Right.
Well, they're going to have a boyfriend and they're going to have things that go on at the house that you got to manage.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we're in an area.
Like the TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like Southwest want to get away. And sometimes you know you forge relationships with these people, and you feel like you have a good relationship with them. But then they just do some of the most heinous things to you over something small.
Right.
You know, pour concrete down your pipes or whatever because they haven't paid rent in
and then
4
you're
months.
asking them to,
And
you're
you like, just
enforcing
give me something.
Right. And
you know,
they're like, nah, I'll show you.
right. And in the world, the market crashed, the housing market crashed, and we were left holding the bag.
Wow.
And we were left up in the air still holding properties that we hadn't finished flipping. And
How did that turn into y'all two not talking for like a couple of years though?
because when things were up for him, they may have been down for me, but then I was able to pull it up. Then when things were down for him, they were up for me, and then he was pulling it up. Well, we on this seesaw up until the point to where, as a businessman, we decided to go in two totally different directions.
Right.
And go ahead.
I was gonna say, but the biggest thing that I heard is y'all were owning city blocks.
Yeah, y'all
did you
like don't
do that?
glaze over that.
Yeah,
like
how
that
did you
is
own
major.
How were you
that is major.
owning blocks?
Well, because if you know anything about South Dallas, it's frame houses. So
Right.
in between those frame houses, there are lots, and then there are literally people just sitting in those lots all day, drinking, smoking, doing whatever. So the city is anxious to just get rid of all that stuff. So he might call me and be like, "We got 5 properties on this street, and they want $10,000 a piece for them. Some have houses, some
What?
don't."
And you would buy them and build.
And y'all was just
And we
running
were buying-
We were buying and rehabbing.
Rehabbing.
Wow.
We had a hard money lender, so we had
You had an Adonis.
yeah, we had an Adonis, but
No, they didn't have
he's
me.
so smart. We figured out how to shortcut the hard money. So before they really started hitting us with the big vig on the money, we were out of it. We had figured out how to refi out of it and move them out of their names, and then negotiate back with them to hold them again. And then the thing with the hard money back then was they had no cause of recourse. Like if we walked away, it was just deuces.
It was just
That's
deuces.
your problem.
So you're the
Oh,
reason
wow.
why the hard money industry has recourse in SFR. So, and one thing I do want to highlight is that with y'all navigating the hard money, at any point you need hard money, you holler at www.lnhcapital.com. We finance flips, new builds, new construction, single family, multifamily, everything in between, and 30-year PITI landlord loans, www.lnhcapital.com. Larry, Nancy, Henry, capital.com. You were saying.
So he's so smart with the numbers, and then that he could literally, but he's not the talking guy. Like, you know, I'm the salesman. I got sales experience. I've been to every sales course that corporate America could ever want you to go to. Because like I said, they kept trying to make me a manager, so they send me to all these sales courses, then I find me another job. So, you know what I'm saying?
They pay for it and that's just move on.
So all that stuff with the stars are like, I went to Harvard and got this thing. They started that for corporate America for IBM. And so we were the guinea pigs to go to Harvard and get those certificates for, you know, going through the course and all that stuff. And then as much knowledge as I could get from a company, because to me, I was going to be this big, you know, mogul, and I needed to know how to manage people. So I was staying in corporate America, and then, you know, I had the classic mother who was like, they don't usually, you know, give young black men these kind of jobs. You got to stay on this job and work. And so I was afraid to quit my job, but we were out on the street making money like Nobody's you said, like Scarface.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But really, it was just a juggling act. We just had all the balls in the air, and we were so young and so reckless and so fearless that he would tell me, he'd be like, look, we're going to make $50,000 today. All I need you to do is say this, this, and this. And I would literally go in there like a sales script and say this, this, and this. And he'd sit there and listen. Then they'd be like, they throw some numbers out, this, that, and the third. He'd whisper in my ear, and I'd be like, nah, we wanted at this. And they'd be like, good, man, you young guys, man, y'all are amazing. Y'all want to come work for us? And we'd be like, yeah. And we'd get up and we'd be like, we never working for them. You know what I'm saying? So,
got it.
So we were just that gangster team. Like I never cared he would tell me to say something, and I would just say it. And he'd be looking at me like, after we get out the meeting, he'd be like, you know I was just joking, right? I can't believe you said that. And I'll be like, hey, man, it worked.
It worked. Can we do that, please? Come on, man.
Can we do what?
Let's do this. I'm motivated. Let's be like these guys. Let's go run some stuff up, man. Let's make some money.
But sure.
but yes. If you really want to know what we lost, we probably lost what would be valued today at about $4 million.
I don't want to do that.
Let me pause.
No, I don't want to do that.
This was in 2000, not 1940. Like he went gone with the wind.
What value
today's
today?
Value of it was 15 years ago, not like 50.
It was 50 cents less. Today it'll be $4 million.
Today it'll be about $4 million because South Dallas has flipped. And so, whereas we were buying houses for $10,000, I sold a lot in South Dallas for $58,000.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying.
All right, fair enough.
These days, you're not going and buying that. So
you're not getting that.
And these lots were $10,000 with a house on it.
That is crazy.
And I sold a
in
lot.
The early 2000s.
Early 2000s.
Right, but
and a couple, like last year, we sold a lot that they knocked our house down because we wouldn't make the repairs. And the city will knock your house down.
Listen, so you're not going to fix the plumbing?
Right.
All right. Bulldozers.
You said
that
right
one didn't have a home warranty on it.
Yeah,
they didn't have a home warranty. So listen, that's our hack for tonight. Listen, get you a home warranty. Any of you home warranty companies that want to sponsor the show, feel free to reach out to us at myRE360, and we will gladly sponsor or highlight your home warranty services, www.myRE360.com, and then let us know about your home warranty services so you can be featured on our next show.
Right. Is that the word of the night? Hashtag warranty.
Hashtag
warranty.
Right. So, all right, so gents, so you guys are a testament, and correct me if I'm wrong. I've never agreed with this statement. Don't do business with friends or family. I've never agreed with that statement. Do you agree? Do not do business with your friends or family, or is your position do business with friends and family? Now let me pause and preface that. There's do business with friends and family, and then there's support your business, support the business of friends and family. Now, I know those are two different things. What are your positions on don't do business with friends or family? Do you agree with that statement?
I disagree with that. I think every individual is different.
Do you agree with that statement?
I disagree with the statement. I think that you have to do business with like-minded people no matter who they are.
Got it.
Yes.
So, support the businesses of friends and family. How do you do that without obligating friends and family to stuff that they wouldn't traditionally do. How does a friends and family support your business without having them get outside their comfort zone?
Well, I just think that when they have a need that comes about that's in your field of expertise, that they give you an opportunity, or they consider you. Okay, it's not an obligation, because while I may do this for my aunt, but I may have a cousin that does the same thing. Right. I'm in real estate investment. My sister lives next door. They're in real estate investment. I mean, we both do the same. We both have a mitigation company, a construction company. We do the exact same thing, but have never bumped heads in doing business. My mom needs work done in her house, and there's no issue over, do I call my daughter or do I call my son?
Right.
You know? Right. So it's just, there's enough out here for everybody.
It really is.
Yeah.
And his brother-in-law like gives us the game. Like there's so much stuff that we didn't know. We're in mitigation because his brother-in-law was like, you need to get on this insurance and do this mitigation. So he gave it to us. We were like, what's that? You mean we gonna go suck water? Like that's what I was literally, we gonna suck water out of people's house? I'm not doing that.
Right.
You know, and he was like, no, I'm telling you, I'm gonna show you the check. And it took me years to start buying equipment. Of course, he sold me the equipment.
Of course he did.
He always selling
He's selling himself. Listen, bro, we need to be in the vacuum business, and I got all the vacuum.
I got your first vacuum. He said, you see how I had your first house? I got your first vacuum.
He's hustle man. Say, bro, I got vacuums, insulation.
Exactly.
My name is Lenny.
All right, he set you up. So we have a question from our guest. Frida Chambers at home says, how can she buy a block? So in today's time, because right now, no one can go and buy a $10,000 house in Dallas. So with what you all have learned, how can somebody buy up a block in today's time?
Right now, in today's market, obviously it's a lot harder, okay? And if you're in the inner city, which is where the value is now, property value is just so much higher, okay? Obviously, it will be easier more in the outer skirts of Dallas or in the smaller areas. And it's just pounding the pavement. You may not be able to buy the block, but you can get a pretty good chunk of it.
So then that brings up a good point. It sounds like you two are the culprit for gentrification. If you're buying for $10,000, knocking down and sell it for $100,000, you're moving black and brown people out of the community. What are your thoughts about that?
I'll jump on that. Not necessarily, because I think you grew up in a smaller church, but I grew up in I guess what they would consider a fairly large church with a fairly large pastor. But then when he passed away, he gave his congregation, or they hired a young guy who actually went to school in the Big 12. He went to Oklahoma State. So we kind of we're the same age. Right. And so what I did when we started doing it, because I felt that too, I said, man, we're going to move these indigenous people to this community out and bring some in. So I went to the pastors, and they have like a pastor coalition. And I said, look, man, you need to start telling the congregation to buy in these areas, because we're going to city planning. Like, I'm the guy that goes to the city planning meeting. I'm the guy who talks to the city council members and all that. And I'm like, this is what they have planned for. And he was like, that's never going to come. They've been talking about this Trinity River project forever. And they've been talking about this and that forever. And I'm like, no, man, people are buying and holding. And when you buy a $10,000 property, even at 1%, your taxes each year is $100.
Right.
So I was like, you need to tell your congregation either buy property in these neighborhoods or do this and that, because the black and brown people with letters behind their names think that the water is wetter way out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going out here. But that's the hustle. That's the hustle that I learned from the LGBTQ community and the young yuppie community, because what they taught me when I was in corporate America, they like White Rock and the M Streets. They were big. And I would tell him, you know what the M Streets are? And he was like, yeah, man, but we not over there. We ain't got that kind of money. And what they did was they flipped the M Streets and they flipped White Rock. And what they told me, they said, we're not afraid of anything. We'll move into this shack. We'll start rehabbing. And my friend will move in down the street, and my friend will move in 3 streets over. And what we do is we take turns calling the police. and we call them for nothing. And so every time you call the police, they have to increase their patrol. And so they're telling me this, and they're like, "This is how we flip neighborhoods." And so so
this is a big.
so once the rental people who are doing wrong, they'll migrate to another neighborhood because there's too much police patrol. And what we'll do is we'll snatch up those houses as a collective, and we'll wait, and we'll just rehab one, sell one. But we only sell them to people who are like-minded, meaning non-black and brown people. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to be bold and say you may have just dropped the biggest gem in the history of the myRE360 TV show. Like, that is major.
Can I get some market shit? Can I get
I'm gonna send you a T-shirt. I have seriously been trying to tell my friends moving out, because I live in Trinity Groves. I'm still in the part where
you're in the hood, like I'm in the hood. You're in the hood.
Yeah, like it's still in the progress. Been trying to get people to move in there.
It makes perfect sense.
Yes.
He is in the hood, but he is in the hood a year ago. That's less a hood. Now that's going to be less a hood in a year.
Next year,
and then in 2 years, he's going to be in the nice part of town.
Exactly.
And he just hacked the code.
I'm telling you, and I've been trying to tell all my friends, hey, there's a house for sale. You guys need to move down the street. You looking for how to move? No, we want to go to Frisco. No, we want to try to get as close to Preston Hollow as we can. I'm like, why would you do that?
That is probably... I have to pick
that's history.
That's probably the most solid bit of information we have ever gotten on this show.
Woo.
Ever.
I
did not know it went like that.
And let me tell you even how deeper the hustle is in corporate America. My boss, when I was a pharmaceutical sales rep, she bought a house in close to White Rock Lake. And when I came over, now I do deals with him, I do business with him, and she was like, oh, come over and look at what we're doing. They were hands-on, physically themselves, rehabbing their house. Right. And I said, well, why are you using copper pipe? You know, everything is plastic now, and it lasts longer, it's better, it's more durable. And she was like, no. The people we're going to sell this house to, they're going to give us $1 million for it. They're going to want copper pipes. They're going to want to see the copper. They're going to want, and I was like, whatever. So fast forward, I'm going to tell you how South Lake became South Lake. So the pharmaceutical companies come in and they say, well, where can we find cheap space to house our pharmaceutical company offices? Well, we want to be off of 114. So, and we want our managers to live where we're going to be housed because we need them to come in. And when you're a rep, you fly a lot and you do, and we want to be close to the airport. That's how South Lake became big, South Lake and Keller and all that, because the cheap office space. Well, all those people lived in the M streets. That was a cool place to be close to downtown. You got one baby, you don't mind the noise and the bars, and you want to still party and kick it. So she goes, hey, Michael, come here, let me show you something. I was like, what? She said, remember the house me and my husband, we redid? She said, yeah. I said, yeah. She said, the company's going to give me $1.2 million for it to move to South Lake. Literally move from Dallas proper to South Lake.
Just so people who are not familiar, how far is that in minutes? A minute drive?
From where she was at White Rock to South Lake, maybe 25 minutes.
25 minutes for $1 million?
1.2 because she got it appraised because of all the copper pipes and the copper roofing that they used and the beautiful details that they used. And we're talking about maybe a 2,500 square foot house.
Oh my goodness.
In fairness, White Rock though, 2,500 square feet in White Rock goes a long way.
And so, and granted, these people are people that I would have considered at work friends, right? So I spoke very, I was very pro, and I was like, y'all are despicable people calling the police.
Not despicable me.
Y'all said he went Looney Tunes with it. Y'all despicable.
Y'all despicable people calling the police on these people. And she was like, no, I'm telling you, this is how we get them out. And she was like, then she said,
wait, who is them?
The people who are doing bad.
Let's call a spade a spade. Who is them?
Well, black and brown people, but they didn't even mean that because they don't care about even just the.
Notice how he glazed over that, right?
Well, because it's not a color thing. It's a dollar thing. It's
okay,
a dollar
all right,
thing.
I will accept that. It's not a color thing.
Because they didn't.
It's a dollar thing.
Because to be fair, they were the ones who got me to buy my house in Kessler Park. So they weren't like, Mike's one of the good black guys. No, like I was like, no, I ain't working on MLK's birthday. Like, I'm not working on
that guy.
Yeah. Y'all know what Juneteenth is? You know what I'm saying? 2 years we were still slaves while y'all was getting the benefits. So it was a money thing, and then they have underlying thoughts of how they feel about black and brown people, but. It was like you're in my tax bracket, and when you get this a lot because you should vote Republican, right? Because you're in a certain tax base and you want to protect your money, and so we would hear that.
Woo. False.
Woo.
Yeah. And you should join our PAC, and through my before tax dollar money, I could donate to the Republican PAC at my pharmaceutical company and at IBM and all these companies, They donated to political campaigns. And so when they were telling me this hustle and then I watched them do it, of course I'm going to tell him, sell me this house in Kessler Park. Well, then he caught on because we walking down the street and he's looking, he said, that looked like Mayor Laura Miller. And I was like, yeah, she lives down the street. Wow. She's my neighbor. And he was like, what? She
mayor?
Live in the hood? And I'm like, this ain't the hood no more, bro.
She getting that money.
Right.
And 2 years later, that house I bought for $130,000, we sold for $288,000.
Wow! Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and then I walked up, being me, knocked on somebody's door. I was like, I really like your house. Would you sell it to me? And the guy looked at me and he was like, man, I'm so glad you asked about my house. I thought you was gonna ask me did I want lawn services or something.
No way.
It was real racist, but I had him on the hook. And he said, look,
that one.
I was like,
you're not my typical lawn service care team.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, golly. Like,
and look, he's standing back at the curb looking like if they shoot him, I got time to run. And the guy literally said, hey man, you seem like a cool person. We really want to sell our house to a cool guy. We want to move to Austin. So yeah, we'll sell you the house in a month. And that's how I got my second house, which was in the historic district. And I think I negotiated it for like $200,000.
Oh my goodness!
I still own that house.
Wow.
And it's worth $600,000.
Oh my goodness!
But I went to the church and I told them, tell your congregation, please tell them, buy houses in these neighborhoods because this is what's coming. This is the value. They're going to fix up Bishop Arts. It's going to be a mecca for people coming to eat and do all this. And they were like, man, Mike, yeah, I hear you, but they want the media rooms. You ain't got no media room.
Oh my goodness!
All right, so buying the hood, good investment strategy, yes or no?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And you know what I feel? Absolutely. And it's fun.
I mean,
My neighborhood fun. I'm not gonna lie, my neighborhood is a blast.
You familiar with it?
I buy in the hood. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
You don't live in
But you don't live in it though. You don't, see, he ain't real. I live in it. But you calling the police right now. I ain't calling the police.
In fairness though, I feel like my contribution to buying in the hood is that when they steal the copper and the AC, I just replace it.
Okay.
I don't call the police.
Well, you have
Listen,
to.
you know what? You got your hustle, I got mine. If your hustle is stealing my AC, you know what? I'll just bootstrap, reinforce it a little bit, make it a little tougher. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now you got your thing, I got mine. You got me once, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll rebound.
But but buying in the hood, I will tell you, when I got married, I never let my wife come home and at dark and I wouldn't be there. So she had to be in before dark. If I had to go take doctors to dinner, she had to be at home before dark.
See, that's a lot. Like, that's why I'm living in.
But and she would tell me, like, she remembered because we're probably gonna move again, and she was like, I remember when you used to literally like come outside with a gun because we have detached garage. Like you'd have the gun in your hand and walk us to the house with the gun.
Now hold on.
But it was rough. But I believed in the process. Now, I mean,
if you calling the feds every few days, like, listen,
yeah, they gonna miss it.
They probably post up at you outside your crib right now. Like, listen,
I swear, within 2 years, I would say we were right around the corner from the Kessler Theater when they have a lot of like concerts.
Right.
Michelle and Cello, like they have dope concerts that people don't even know about that are just for our community. They don't even advertise.
Wow.
And they have a way of calling the police so much that they don't even have to pay for security because the police will automatically just be patrolling the area.
Right.
And I had like a Range Rover. I was real hood. I was real hood rich. So hood rich when I was
look. He has a Range Rover. He can relate to the hood rich.
But the difference is, hey, we protect each other. When I drive, I worry about, hey, how you doing, Miss Johnson? How you doing?
I had a Range Rover and had a company car, so that's what made it extra hood. I didn't need it. I just had it.
Right.
But I would literally be in my detached garage and pull in my Range Rover and turn around, and it would be bright lights and guns on me.
Mm-hmm.
And they would see me and be like, "Oh, Mike, nah, you good?" Like I didn't know, but the cops knew me. They knew I was the black guy who lived in the neighborhood.
So you were the resident snitch.
I was the resident.
He was
Don't
the
shoot
informant.
him. He's supposed to be here.
Right. He's the
Type
informant.
dude. And he'd be like, "We not trying to bother you, man. They having a concert, and we just want to make sure it's safe." And I'd just be disgusted, but I'd be like, "It's gonna be greater later.
Right.
My
Yo, I
money
love
is
it.
coming."
Well, you two have dropped so many gems, especially in my opinion, y'all have made history. So for people that want to continue the conversation and learn more from you all, how can they contact you?
Follow me on Instagram. It's MurLon, MUR_LON.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. It's MUNS Muns60. And you could also follow our cigar line, which is Goon
We glazed.
Social
We didn't touch
_ Club. So Goon Social Club.
Repeat that again.
So our cigar line is Goon _Social _ Club. The Goon Social Club.
So there's a lot of cigar smokers in the room. So we are going to definitely tap into that.
Yeah.
And here's one question before we move into our next segment. Here's one question I got to know because it's a big ticket item. You guys, as partners, you have beefed. Like you've had tiffs where you've fallen out and not spoken for years at a time. What advice would you give to aspiring, current, existing partners that is like, listen, this is how you not only overcome small and major disconnects to continue your partnership? What advice would you give them to say, here's what you do to overcome disconnects that cause partnerships to dissolve? As a lender, I see that a lot. How have you guys sustained it for 14 years?
Communicate.
Okay.
Communication.
Give me more about that. What does that
Communication
mean?
is when there's a problem, there's nothing I can't talk to him about.
Okay.
Whatever it is. And however I need to say it, I'm not going to step on his toes. You know, with other individuals, I may need to say it a certain way. But the main point of it is communicate. If there's a problem, let's bring it to the table and let's address it.
Okay.
You know, old man used to tell me, you know, you got to catch the small foxes too. Okay. So whatever it is, let's bring it to the table and let's address it. Because again, like I said earlier, we have bigger goals and bigger plans.
Right.
You know, and so let's not get caught up in the small details. You know, in the minuscule things. You know, let's deal with what we got so we can move on. And not carry it to tomorrow.
Has money ever been an issue that potentially broke up the partnership?
No.
Ego.
No.
What has potentially, if you said there was one thing that almost broke the partnership up, what would that one thing be?
Debt and embarrassment. Because when we were both embarrassed at two different times.
Okay.
You know, so for us, it was an embarrassment to start losing money at the rate that we did because we betted on the house. And when we got together, our partnership, we said we agreed to never beef over money.
Okay.
Never beef over money. But then when we were holding that debt, it was like, who's going to take the debt? There was some debt that I was like, you know, in the beginning, it seemed like good debt to me. So I was like, I'll hold this. But it was both of our debt. Then when it came down to us losing things, he understood some things that I didn't understand. And then I was embarrassed that I didn't understand it. He called me one day and said, I mean, if you don't mind me sharing about...
Wait a minute. You might.
He called me and told me, I think you should file bankruptcy.
Right.
Instead of holding all this stuff. And then he started trying to explain bankruptcy to me. So he left out some of his education. Like he used to be the dude to call you about your student loans. And so he would tell me like how to tell my friends how they didn't have, like, look, they could do this and not have to pay their student loans for this, and that. So he was the overall dude that knew everything about numbers. So when he came to me about the bankruptcy, I was embarrassed, but I was offended because I was holding both of our debt.
Right.
And so he was like, I think you should do the bankruptcy, and then if you do it by this time, you'll have an 800 credit score again.
Right.
In a year, you'll be able to, and I didn't believe him. Well, then the embarrassment part came when he did it, and then 2 years later built like a 7,000 square foot house on 13 acres. And so now I'm embarrassed, but now I'm pissed off.
Right.
You know what I'm
you
saying?
got away with it.
Because I held that debt and I serviced that debt.
While he
until it broke
skirted
me.
through.
Yeah, until it broke me.
And he like, I did.
And he went on with his life like, all right, you don't want to listen to me, you know, whatever. And that's what made us, you know, the embarrassment of, it's an embarrassment of riches because we made so much money together and then we lost it.
An embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
think that is a very mature position to take. You know what I mean? Because that's not a common disconnect that I hear. And I think it's safe to say amongst partnerships to put pride aside, to be like, listen, I don't know, or I'm over my head, or in this position, like, hey, one of us needs to take an L. Right. And it sounds like that's where I feel like a lot of partnerships fall apart. Is that sounds about right? Because one of the things that I see most partnerships fall apart is about the money. Who's paying for it? Who's doing it? Who's carrying the liability?
Right.
You know, so I think that is so is that the advice that you would give to anyone watching? Give me the nugget to give to anyone watching who's in a partnership. How do you avoid like a partnership falling out?
One thing we always talk about when we're doing a deal, because I can come off like I know everything, right? So I know a little bit about a lot of stuff.
Right.
So he knows, him, my wife, they all know when I don't know what I'm talking about, but the room doesn't know.
Right.
So he'll come to me and he'll be like, hey, we need help. And I'll be like, nah, this time I really know. Or I'll be like, nah, you're right, we do need help. But what we always agree on is we don't want no daddies.
Right.
So we don't bring another person in that knows, okay, they need me. So now I'm going to put the screws to them and I'm going to twist them. So we've walked away from deals that could have yielded us a bunch of money because we just didn't have the knowledge. So I would just tell people, if you always stay in your comfort zone until you get the knowledge that you need to move forward and do those big deals will always be there.
Right.
So we didn't fall out over a bunch of big deals. We fell out over a bunch of small deals that equaled a bunch of money.
Wow.
So when you saw us lose, it looked like we lost a city. You know, we lost a town, and people thought, oh, these young dudes were so big, and then we just disappeared. But we didn't really disappear because I always had a job, and he always had another hustle. So that's what was the anger part, because then it was like, just give me money from your other business. And that's what he taught me. He taught me this the hard way, because he was like, no. And that's when I was going to shoot at him. That's when
that's when you almost ran him over with the car.
That's when we was like,
He
we
said,
got to quit
what you say?
talking. We was like, that's why we got to quit talking, because we gonna kill each other, because I know he got it. I'm losing, I'm bleeding, and he got it. But then hindsight being 20/20, he was 100% right. He did everything 100% right. You know, me being a college kid that was like, nah, that's not morally right. That's not fair. So what I would just say to people, a major nugget is just don't get in over your head. You see everybody's watching Chip and Joanna Gaines. Everybody's watching all these fixer-upper shows, and it looks like they do it overnight, and they make this amazing product that doesn't break. Google Chip and Joanna Gaines. Their stuff breaks. That's why they keep their inventory and Airbnb it. And there's a lot of little hacks and tricks in this game that these people are doing that you can't see. Chip is being sued right now he was a real estate agent and he was the broker, and before he got the show, he like bought everybody out. And so now they're suing him for like torturous interference because he made millions after he bought his guys out for like a couple of thousand. You know what I'm saying? Right. So don't believe the hype. Don't believe what you watch on TV. Right. Go slow and stay at your comfort level. It's okay for one person to be like, nah, we're not doing that. And, you know, because that's essentially how you're going to fall out, when one person's, you know, eyes are bigger than, you know, what they really can put in their body.
Right.
You know, there's too much food on the plate. So I would just say stay in your comfort zone, and it's okay to go slow.
Right.
Got it.
So before we close, can you tell the people how they can contact you again?
My Instagram is MUR_Lon, LON.
Yeah, and I'm just Muns, MUNS60 at Instagram. So, and we're not even, like, if you contact us, if you have any questions, you're going to get to us because we don't do press. So nobody knows who we are. So I'm going to see you if you're in my inbox.
Got it.
All right.
All right. So I think right now is the perfect time to segue into the 360Y.
Okay.
Have you ever been out viewing properties, scouring the internet, and you see something that you're just like, what's happening right now? And sometimes you just need to know, what's going on, or in our situation, we like to introduce whose man's is this? So we're gonna jump right in and see this week's first 360Y.
It's not right.
Correct. So in our first 360Y,
There you go.
there it is.
Wait,
Wait.
what?
What is that?
That's like a can of natural light.
What?
Is that a can of natural light?
It is.
Yo,
Yeah.
but that's fly though, cause I can get drunk while I'm, you know, the beer cologne type thing.
What?
So this is when you need to shower and drink. This is the ultimate pregame. This is pregame, like, listen. So I can shower, I can get ready, and get drunk at the same time.
Same
Sign me
damn
up.
time.
Oh, you know what? Nah. You know who lives here? MacGyver. Listen, bro, we got to shower and give me a beer can, some duct tape, and some shoestring, and bada boom, we got to shower.
Wow.
I'm with it though. I mean, you know, that's ingenuity.
But I just want to shout out to who y'all see how the small holes that they poked in. Somebody really took their time and made this.
They thought about that.
They
thought
really
about
did.
that.
Thought of, like the stream that they
Look,
like.
you see all the the water streams. Like,
Right.
shout out to
And
that
right
person.
now with the with the busted pipes in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, that plumber is killing it.
Wait, what are those people called that actually knit stuff together? There's
Crochet?
Is that what they're
Yeah,
called?
the quilt makers or crocheters or whatever. They got the.
To the crochet artists that put together this magnificent shower head. To MacGyver, the tenant
crochet
that just will not be defeated without a shower head. All I need to know is, whose man's is this? All right, so
Respect the Jesus.
right.
The last
That
summer.
caught me off guard.
So now,
Oh wow.
so
This whole swing set says, "I'm sick of my kids."
listen, bring it to. This is the alternative daycare center. Your kids acting up, bring them here. We'll straighten them right
The
out.
brick wall swing set.
Nap time will never
Guaranteed.
be the same.
Guaranteed to make your kids
naps
sleep.
by any means necessary.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so I like this because you know what?
You like this.
This sends a message.
Yeah.
Listen,
We
it's
believe
my
it.
way or the brick wall.
Yeah.
We believe in concussions.
Yeah.
To the Malcolm X innovation, my way or the highway. To the you're going to get a kid's nap time one way or the another. All I need to know is, whose man's is this?
Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Okay.
All right, so I'm sorry, what?
It's the stairway to hell. Or
That's what popped in my mind.
That's the exit.
The doorway to hell.
That's the exit to the mother-in-law suite.
This what this what God set up and said, you know what you did well. Hey, my son, go ahead and walk through this door. That's for the people he said, I don't know how to tell them.
I like it. Listen,
But they'll figure it out.
listen, like stepmom's been giving me a lot of static. You
Yeah.
know what, Mom? Would you mind grabbing me a water through that
Dude,
door?
that door.
Yeah.
It's a deep freeze out
In
there.
the middle of the night, right? So, to the stepmother that's going to take that fatal plunge in the middle of the night, to the god-awful godson who's like, hey, listen, I'm going to set my parents up for failure. All I need to know is, Whose man's is this? It never gets old.
It never gets old.
It doesn't.
All right. This was good tonight, man. I enjoyed this.
I'm not gonna lie. I think we've made some history tonight
I
with
promise.
how to flip a neighborhood.
A neighborhood.
Right. All right. So listen, we're gonna do that.
Please come to my. I've been trying to tell this man come to my area.
He did a house on Puget.
Man, I live on Shaw Street.
Really?
Yes, sir.
I grew
Yes,
up in that
sir.
area. Okay.
Oh
okay,
wow. Okay.
So y'all two collectively
Yeah,
are
I'll
part.
tell you, it's a good neighborhood. Everybody watch out for each other.
Absolutely.
It's fun.
Oh no, they got robbed.
You did.
Yeah, they got robbed.
I mean, it come with territory.
Let me just glaze
one.
over that.
Can I plug in Vivid Home
It was an
Security?
inside
It's
job.
doing a great job.
It's an inside job.
Wait, was there a plug there?
Vivid Home Security, y'all doing a great job for me. Thank you.
No, but
Vivid,
they
it-
built a nice house. Though.
If y'all want to sponsor us, feel free to reach out www.myRE360.com. We would love to have your sponsorship and push your security services on myRE360. So give us a call.
I'm a testimony. Not gonna.
All right, so guys, I got to tell you, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate all of the gems that you dropped. I appreciate you guys as contributors to the growth of the economy in Dallas. If you had to leave one nugget for all of our viewers, what would that nugget be? What would your takeaway be? Hey, here's my takeaway. Lonnie, Mike, here's my takeaway. What would that nugget be for our viewers?
Is that if you believe it, you can do it. You know, the opportunity's out here. You know, don't get set in your 9-to-5 job. If you want to be a developer, you want to be an investor, the opportunity is out here.
Love it.
Mike.
I would just piggyback on what he said. Look, I have all those degrees and I've never used one.
Wow.
I've only ever been a salesman, and I did not have to go to college to learn how to be a salesman. So everything that we learned, you heard him. He started at 18, 19 years old. We learned just by not being afraid to do it. So you don't have to have that education. You have to get that education. And there's so much free education at Google University,
Or
YouTube
myRE360.
My
Should have led with that.
That's where
Yeah,
it's
should have
at.
led with that. Yeah. And then just don't be afraid to ask questions and don't be afraid to fail. It's not about being, you know, oh, you're afraid to be successful. You know, I think what Jay-Z said. I'm not afraid to. It's not about being afraid to fly. It's about not being afraid to fall out the sky.
Right.
It's okay to fail. You learn your biggest lessons during failure.
Right.
It's just about how you get back up and get to it.
That's right.
And I don't think any more solid gems have been dropped than in this episode. So, guys, I appreciate you joining us tonight. As always, Darion, my distinguished consigliere. I've been Adonis, your host, rock star as always. Again, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.